Alright, so it's been a while since I've done an MMA video, and we're not doing UFC predictions today. I might never do a predictions video again, to be honest, because let's face it, I picked Ben Askren to beat Jorge Masvidal. There you go, Vince. And we all saw what happened there. So today instead, I thought I'd talk about the UFC event that just went by this weekend that nobody probably watched, that happened in China. I just watched the event then, and the night really belonged to the people of China, and we crowned our first Asian UFC champion. I've always been a big fan of Asian fighters because obviously, I've always felt like they were the underdogs. I've always been waiting for, the great Asian hope. And we finally got ourselves a champion. So I thought I'd just talk about just a recap of the event. And it's late. I'm tired. I haven't been sleeping much lately, but we're doing this anyway. Let's do this. The first UFC Asian champion. So of all places, I never would have thought that China would have been the country that the first UFC champion, Asian UFC champion came from. China are very new to the sport. Their first exposure to the UFC was when the UFC reality show The Ultimate Fighter did a Chinese version, and it was probably the worst season of The Ultimate Fighter ever as far as just talent goes. There was there was a guy on there who was literally a celebrity. He wasn't even a fighter. Like, it was really embarrassing, to be honest. Japan has always had a rich history in MMA. There's legendary Japanese fighters such as Sakuraba, Takanori Gomi, Kid Yamamoto, and things like that, the Fireball Kid. And as time, as MMA grew, Korea started getting a lot of good fighters. I've always been a fan of Dong Yong Kim, the stun gun, as well as obviously who doesn't love the Korean Zombie. In fact, the Korean Zombie, off the top of my head, is the only Asian fighter, I believe, to get a UFC title shot, even that I can think of. Anyway, I don't know if Sakuraba, I can't remember if he got a title shot back in the day. I don't think he did. The Korean Zombie, Chang Sun Jung, obviously had a title shot against Jose Aldo, where he was unsuccessful. Unfortunately, he hurt his shoulder, but at the same time, Aldo hurt his foot, I think, from memory, in that fight. Was unsuccessful. But this weekend in China, it really was a night that belonged to the Chinese people. First of all, in the co-main event, I've always been a fan of the Leech, Li Jianliang. He has been the great Chinese hope for me. He's from China, and he was the first guy I was like, man, this guy's actually really good. I did not expect him to win this fight, and for him to perform the way he did and to get the finish with 9 seconds to go in the fight was absolutely amazing. He is obviously going to become a real big deal to the people of China as far as the sport of MMA is concerned. But the night was all about the challenger, Weili Zhang, I don't know how to say her name, I'm terrible with names, who was up against Jessica Andrade, who was basically defending her title for the first time since winning it off Rose Namajunas. Now, firstly, was it a surprise that Andrade lost? Not really, because when Andrade beat Rose Namajunas for the belt, she was losing that fight until she got the slam, that lucky slam that knocked out Rose. So really, it was no surprise, I don't think, to a lot of fans. Weili Zhang has obviously, I've only seen a couple of fights. She's very well rounded. Her striking's good. The thing that surprised me most, I think, was I saw a photo of them facing off, and Andrade is obviously known as just like a beast. She's really small, but she's real strong, powerful, big muscles and things like that. I saw the photo of them facing off, and Weili Zhang, I was like, oh my God, her arms are huge. I didn't realize she was so powerful. And basically she got the job done in, 42 seconds or something like that. It was like an absolute destruction of the champion Andrade. And moving forward, it's obviously going to be a big deal. Obviously, China is a market that the UFC have been wanting to break into for a while. And to be honest, to really break into those kind of markets, you need a champion from that country. And for her to do it the way she did, absolutely impressive. Now, there's a lot of interesting fights, potential fights for Zhang when it comes to defending her title. And they're all fights that you're not sure. We haven't seen a lot of Zhang, so we don't know really how. Andrade, obviously, like I said, is very good. She's very powerful, but she's basically wins because of her power, because of her brute force that she brings to to the fight game. We haven't seen Zhang fight someone who's very technical in certain aspects. For example, her versus Jędrzejczyk would be very interesting to see if she could basically overcome the Muay Thai of Jędrzejczyk. Tatiana Suarez is a very, very interesting fight. In fact, I mean, Suarez is known as the female Khabib. I really don't see many people beating her, but look, Zhang definitely, if she can defend that takedown, I mean, she just showed us how powerful she can be in the striking department. So there's a lot of interesting matchups, I think, for Zhang. It's going to be quite exciting to see where they go from here. It's going to be very interesting to see the explosion of MMA in China. I mean, they've already got, in the last few years, they're finally starting to have fighters that are looking impressive coming out of China. Like I said, Japan have had a long history of Asian fighters who have been very good. Korea have had a lot of good fighters coming out of there, but China's always just been that country just, you know, I mean, in some ways China are almost like pioneers of martial arts. I mean, that's where Bruce Lee's from, right? So it's always like, why aren't there good fighters coming out of China? But there finally are, and we finally have a champion. It's amazing. You know, it really means a lot, I think, to Asian people and things like that, just because, you know, all my life I felt like the underdog, you know what I mean, growing up in a white world. So to see an Asian fighter just be up there and considered one of the best in the world now means a lot, I think, to Asian people in general. And look, I mean, my friends will tell you I'm not Asian, but look, I was brought up pretty Asian, right? My parents are pretty brickin' Asian. So yeah, I've always had that soft spot for Asian fighters. I always root for them just because it's like, man, they're the underdogs, you know. They're supposed to get beaten up by the big white guys, you know. So yeah, it was really good to see a first Asian champion crowned, I must say, and very, very shocked that it came from China out of all countries. I always would have thought it would have been Japanese or Korean, to be honest. But yeah, we have our first Asian UFC champion. Congratulations to Weili Zhang. Congratulations to Li Jianlang, who's going to go on, I think, to be a huge superstar in China as well as Asia. Moving forward, guys, I really want to make more MMA videos regarding topics rather than my predictions, because let's be honest, my predictions aren't great. But yeah, moving forward, I'd really like to start making more MMA videos talking about MMA topics instead of predictions, because let's face it, it's called Simple MMA Talk, and all I've really been doing is prediction videos. So yeah, subscribe to my channel. If you're into MMA, you're probably not into any of the other stuff I do. I make videos about comic books and stuff like that. So, but yeah, thank you for watching if you've made it this far, and till next time, guys, keep it simple.